Hello, and thanks for stopping by. I've recorded a series of videos to help people cope with some of the issues they face after discovering their husband or wife has had an affair. Today I'm going to talk about emotional affairs. Now, emotional affairs are kind of tricky because they don't actually involve physical intimacy, and yet they can be just as damaging to a marriage as a full-blown adulterous affair. And if they're not nipped in the bud early, they can develop into a physical affair. If you're not sure what an emotional affair is, or if you feel that your husband might be having an emotional affair, then you may be able to relate to the following story. Imagine a married couple, we'll call them Mary and Steve. While Steve was at the gym, Mary tried to call him, asking him to pick up some groceries on the way home. But she realised that Steve had left his phone at home. It was ringing in his home office. So she went in and she looked at it, and she started looking through the text messages. Now, initially you might think, well, why was she snooping through his private things? Well, she wouldn't normally have, but Mary had noticed that his phone had been buzzing with text messages at funny times of the evening and at weekends when he wouldn't normally have received them. She thought, well, if there's nothing wrong, then there's no harm in just having a quick look. So she went into the text messages and saw a list. It was the same woman's name coming up over and over again. And she felt pretty sick, but she thought, well, okay, let's calm down. It could be something to do with work, although he hadn't discussed any particular work issues with her that would mean getting lots of text messages. She couldn't resist actually opening one up and reading it. It was from a woman she hadn't heard of before, but the tone of the message was very affectionate and she sounded like a close friend. And they always ended in kisses. Alarm bells went off in her head because they obviously were not work related. When Mary confronted Steve about it, he got very defensive and accused her of spying in his private things, as you can imagine. Mary broke down in tears and demanded to know who this other woman was. Steve then got defensive and said that she was just a friend and that she listened to his problems and it was something that he felt Mary didn't do anymore. The problem was she had no proof that anything physical was happening, but all the same she felt really worried and insecure, and she started to lose her self-confidence. Like Mary, many husbands and wives attempted to check up on their spouse, on their messages and phone calls and emails if they suspect that something is up. The problem is that cell phones and internet chat rooms and email and instant messaging all make it so much easier now for people to have affairs without being found out. If you find out that your husband has developed a close relationship with another woman, be it a friend or a work colleague, it can make you feel pretty uncomfortable. If your husband has a very personal, fairly intense relationship with another woman, then this relationship has probably become an emotional affair, and especially if he seems to be hiding it from you. The reason it hurts so much and it feels so uncomfortable is because, quite rightly, you feel that that kind of intense connection, an emotional relationship, belongs in your marriage. It belongs to you and not her. When confronted about having an emotional affair, the husband will often become defensive or try to make his behaviour seem perfectly acceptable by just simply saying, why, can I not have a friendship with another woman? Or try to imply that it's platonic in some way. And as a result, many wives back down because they feel a bit silly and think maybe perhaps he's right and perhaps they're being paranoid. But I think that if your husband goes outside the marriage to seek fulfilment for something that he feels is missing from his marriage, whether physical or emotional in nature, then I consider that cheating on the intimate relationship he should be having with his wife. Okay, so how do you know if your husband is having an emotional affair? Well, compared to sexual cheating, the definition of emotional cheating can seem far less clear. So to help you work out if your husband is involved in an emotional relationship, you need to ask yourself the following. Does he conceal the relationship, or is he open about it? Does he, for example, say, "Oh, I got a text from Janet, she's so caring and such a good listener," and then does he read the message out to you? I think that's pretty unlikely. If he's cheating, then he will know that his behaviour is wrong, and so he'll try to hide it from you. And then when you eventually discover his emotional affair, he'll spring into attack, becoming offensive and accusing you of spying on him. If you want to find out if your husband is having a physical relationship with this other woman, I'm afraid without catching him red-handed, it's difficult. It's very hard to tell if the emotional affair has crossed the line into a physical relationship, and especially as he'll go to great lengths to try to conceal it from you. So why is he having an emotional affair? Well, clearly there's been some sort of breakdown in the intimacy level in your marriage, at least as far as he's concerned. And there is a chance that he may want to take the emotional affair with the other woman further so that it becomes physical. If your husband can admit to having an emotional affair, then at least you can then both try to repair the intimacy in your own relationship and work to save your marriage before it's too late. In my next video, I'm going to look at ways to rebuild the emotional connection with your partner so that he no longer feels the need to find it outside of your marriage. If you check out the links below the video, you should see a link to my blog. There are many more videos there and articles discussing how you can cope after an affair and work on saving your marriage. So until next time, I wish you the very best of luck.